trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets. WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yo1.com.
Welcome to WION Live broadcast with me, Susan Tehrani. We're coming to you live from New York City. First, let's take a look at this hour's headlines before we get straight to our first story. The FBI is concerned about the possibility of an organized attack in the United States similar to the one that killed scores at a Russian concert hall last month. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visits a F-15 airbase amidst threats of an attack by Iran, warning that Israel is ready in defense and attack. Head of the U.S. Central Command, General Michael Kurilla, has arrived in Israel. He is holding consultations with Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and other officials to discuss a threat of an Iranian attack. The Kremlin calls for all countries in West Asia to show restraint and prevent the region from slipping into chaos, and asserts that there had been no requests for Russia to mediate between Israel and Iran. Ukraine's parliament passes a bill to overhaul the rules governing how the military mobilizes civilians into its ranks as the war rages on with no end in sight. Asia Development Bank upgrades India's economic growth forecast for 2024 from 6.7% to 7%, driven by investments and rising consumer spending. Sports, Daniel Medvedev is dumped out of the Monte Carlo's Masters in the third round. Olympic silver medalist Karen Khachanov wins an all-Russian clash for a first top 5 win this season.
6-1, 7-6-3, 7-5.
In a chilling revelation, the FBI director is set to inform a House panel about the Bureau's growing concern over the possibility of a coordinated terror attack in the United States. There are fears that the attack could be similar to the devastating concert hall massacre in Russia last month. Christopher Wray will tell lawmakers during a budget hearing that this stark assessment underscores the gravity of the situation facing the U.S. as it grapples with a complex web of security challenges. Wray is testifying to discuss the FBI's budget, which is facing a $500 million decrease. House Republicans said that they've made cuts to the FBI and other federal law enforcement agencies' budgets, and the FBI director is hoping Congress funds the agency through 2025. He will also urge lawmakers to renew a critical U.S. surveillance program set to expire this month, describing it as an indispensable tool in the fight against adversaries. U.S. intel agencies have also urged vigilance against lone actors who may be inspired by recent events. The March 22nd attack on a concert hall in suburban Moscow, which claimed the lives of at least 144 people, has become a concerning reference point for U.S. officials. A branch of the Islamic State terror group claimed responsibility for the carnage, but Russian President Vladimir Putin has sought to shift the blame towards Ukraine. With the threat landscape evolving rapidly, the FBI's warning serves as a reminder of the need for heightened vigilance and robust counterterrorism efforts to safeguard the American people. The Red Sea, a vital artery for global trade, has become an unexpected battleground. Yemen's Houthi rebels, long locked in a brutal civil war, are escalating their attacks on U.S. Navy ships patrolling the region. Our next report tells you how low-cost drones are being neutralized by million-dollar missiles.
We are going to use the most effective means at our disposal to cut off the Houthis' financial resources.
The designation of the Houthis as a specially designated global terrorist.
In between Israel and Iran risking a direct confrontation and the assault on Gaza continuing, the Red Sea remains on the boil. Is the war in West Asia changing gears? The fear of Gaza war escalating even further is increasing. In the last 24 hours of US forces shooting down 11 drones fired by the Houthi rebels over the Red Sea, following a series of Houthi attacks on commercial vessels. In October 2023, the US deployed a naval contingent to the Red Sea. However, the Houthi seems undeterred. It's not commercial ships, but the Yemen-based rebels are now increasingly targeting American warships. High-tech warships designed to dominate conventional battles struggle against a swarm of low-cost agile drones. The Houthis, with their asymmetrical tactics, are exploiting this mismatch. Their rudimentary drones, potentially adapted from commercially available models, pack enough punch to disrupt operations and inflict psychological damage. The US response, focused on airstrikes against Houthi bases, has yielded limited results. The US along with UK has launched 4 rounds of joint coalition strikes since January 11 to pressure the Houthis to stop attacking commercial shipping lanes in the Red Sea. The rebels seem adept at dispersing and reconstituting their drone capabilities. Also, the vast expense of deploying advanced weaponry against these low-cost threats raises serious questions about the sustainability of the current strategy. Experts say the US may also need to re-evaluate its overall strategy in the region, as military solutions alone may not be enough. The Red Sea standoff is a stark reminder that the future of warfare is not solely about big-ticket battleships and fighter jets. Low-cost, readily available drones are changing the game. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
The United States is set to host the historic U.S.-Japan-Philippines trilateral summit later today. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. are both in Washington. The first ever summit of the three nations is expected to have the issue of security in the South China Sea as the key agenda. The summit will be held after a bilateral meeting between President Biden and Marcos. Biden has already held a bilateral summit with his Japanese counterpart. The two sides have struck 70 pacts on defense cooperation. In a short while from now, Kishida will also address the U.S. Congress. The upcoming trilat is seen as a way to send a blunt diplomatic message to China, which has asserted a greater control over the South China Sea region. Japan and Philippines have both separate territorial disputes with China. With Japan, it is over the Senkaku Islands in the East China Sea, and in the latter's area of the South China Sea as well. Both the nations have a security treaty with the United States, and ties have grown in recent years. Japan has been at the center of the Biden administration's alliance building in the Indo-Pacific. Japan, under Kishida, has significantly shifted the country's defense posture and provided support to Ukraine amidst war with Russia, while Filipino leader has tilted towards the West, though his predecessors sought closer ties with China. Ahead of his arrival in Washington, Marcos said that he was horrified to learn about a secret agreement with Beijing that compromises the sovereign rights of the Philippines. The deal apparently bars Manila from shipping construction material to a military outpost in the disputed Second Thomas Shoal in the South China Sea. The shoal lies within Philippines' exclusive economic zone, but China has also claimed it. China is expected to be monitoring the summit very closely. New joint military initiatives and infrastructure efforts are expected as an outcome of the trilateral summit as well. While more joint patrols in the coming months can be expected in the South China Sea after drills by the United States, Australia, the Philippines, and Japan last weekend, the leaders will also discuss broader regional challenges and economic development with new investments coming in under sea cables, logistics, clean energy, as well as telecommunications. So Ukraine has over 40 million soldiers in its ranks right now. These are men and women who are at war with another state. They face bombing, missiles, and bloodshed on a regular basis. But what happens when they get wounded in action and is forced to return to civilian life? Our next report tells you more.
Inside a boxing ring, Alexander Revtyuk jabs with his right arm, but there is no swing from the left. 8 months ago, he lost his left arm and most of his left leg in mine blasts while fighting in Ukraine.
Imagine you're a newborn without an arm and a leg. You've got some knowledge from before, but beyond that, you must get to know the world from scratch.
Only 2 years ago, he had enjoyed a comfortable life abroad as an electronics technician before he returned to Ukraine to sign up and fight the Russian invasion. Revtyuk, who now has a prosthetic leg, intends to leave the army and return to a civilian life.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Look for a way out. There is a path through the thorns to the stars. This is my motto.
Revtyuk is one of tens of thousands of Ukrainian combat amputees. A co-founder of Princip, a human rights organisation representing soldiers, estimates that between 20,000 and 50,000 soldiers have become amputees since Russia launched a full-scale invasion in February 2022. Many say that budget constraints, social taboos, and a lack of job opportunities make the transition to civilian life more difficult. Ukraine's Veteran Affairs Ministry declined to give official data on the number of soldiers who had lost limbs. It did not respond to criticism that it wasn't doing enough to support amputees once they re-entered society after receiving rehabilitation with prosthetic limbs. Revtyuk lost his limbs in June during last summer's counter-offensive. He underwent surgery and rehabilitation provided by the state. Recently, he visited his family in Nizhin, northeast of Kiev. His grandmother had not seen him since his arm and leg were torn off.
I thank God that you remained alive. I am grateful to volunteers that they remember you. You are strong.
These are the people who believe in you more than in themselves. They inspire you. And when you see them smiling, this is already a result.
As he begins his journey into civilian life, the boxing enthusiast is trying to make his name as a motivational coach for others in his position.
Frankly speaking, I'm happy that I still have my strong side, my right arm and my right leg. I didn't sustain any injuries to my head. My entire spine is practically healthy. Actually, prostheses can get me back to normal life. If this is the price I paid for our future, I don't see any issues with that.
Is SpaceX considered one of the world's most valuable private companies? And is it really a profitable entity? Well, insiders now claim that the company's Starlink business is burning more cash than it's bringing in. People familiar with the finances of the company say that Starlink has lost hundreds of dollars on the ground terminals it ships. This is in sharp contrast to the claims made by Chief Executive Officer